and we're now going to trust that same system? Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Come on. New Yorkers are not that dumb. I keep telling people, New Yorkers have 5 fingers. They love the middle one the most.
All
right, my fellow Knicks fans, we back. We here. Championship season on the way as we watch this team continue to evolve in Mike Brown's new offensive schemes. But in this segment right here, we're going to be taking a look at more of the defensive side. The NBA right now is going through a current evolution with today's players. You got the Pablo Bancheros running point, the Cade Cunninghams, the Luka Doncic's. So in this segment right here, we're going to take a look at some of this Knicks defense, their positioning. We're going to compare that also to how the Knicks kind of took more onus, guys like Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns in the Celtics series with their defense. We're going to compare the two, and also we're going to take a great look at how some of the championship teams right now are defending. There's a lot of comparisons here, but again, let's be patient. It's still early. Mike Brown is still getting a nice feel for the team, and I like the way he's shown that he could be flexible. You know, changing the starting lineups based off of the matchups, and also giving his assistant coaches props. He gave Jalen Brunson's father a lot of credit when he was told to play more through Karl-Anthony Towns. So right now, the NBA is going through a nice evolution because for the past couple of years, they've been telling us it's been everything but small ball, small ball, small ball. But when you got teams like the Houston Rockets who play big, the Orlando Magic, and even to a degree, the new upcoming teams like the San Antonio Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the Chicago Bulls. Hell, you could even throw the Detroit Pistons in there. There's been quite a few changes in the past couple years' drafts. Guys are coming into the league much bigger and much more skilled and could defend multiple positions. And for the Knicks this season, if they want to get into that championship realm, their communication on defense and just where their position is going to have to be on point. As right here, Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, they can't switch because look who's on Towns. It's Paolo. So Jalen Brunson has a bad matchup right here, but everyone on the Magic kind of represents where the league is going towards. Look at the size difference. Everyone's compromised here. So the position when these drives happen for guys like Mikal to help, then if there's a kick out for Towns to recover, like all these things are going to be important as we're going to see throughout this segment, especially when the bench unit is out there with those 4 guards. At times, the squad does look compromised. And some of that positioning is perfectly exampled right here as Franz forces a switch with JB. But look how JB recovers. OG is going to help out, and JB is going to make his run. A nice little peel switch, but the Knicks are going to have to communicate on these peel switches all season long. Guys are still working out the kinks on their recovery because look at Mikal right here. As once this Towns is in front of him, he should be making a recovery. Him and Clarkson at some point should be communicating. There should be some sort of recovery as Mikal is going to be the one really out of position. Now right here, this is going to be a nice example of the polar opposite. Remember, this season, the Knicks do have championship expectations, so there is no glazing. So at some point, the same way the offense is humming, at some point throughout the season, the defense doesn't have to be perfect, but they're going to have to show flashes that they could be humming almost to the same tune. And again, right here is a prime example because the Oklahoma City Thunder defense in the past few weeks, they've shut down not only the Golden State Warriors, but they also have embarrassed Luka. Now right here is a team very similar to the Knicks. They play small. But their positioning is very important. As right here, this is a favorite play of Curry and Draymond Green right here. SGA off this screen is going to apply pressure with a little hedge, right? Draymond Green, he's going to throw the bounce pass right here, but pay attention to Cason Wallace and the run that he makes as he gets help right here from Isaiah Joe. But pay attention because this is the part that a lot of the Knicks players this season are going to really have to work on. It's the recovery. Pay attention to his run because he's going to instantly make that run to the corner shooter. This shit right here may seem so simple, but throughout this segment, we're going to see small little cases where the Knicks are giving up a lot of open three-point shots, and it's really because of their recovery when these teams get any type of dribble penetration. Now, this time around, same scenario, but there's no dribble penetration. Everything is going to be off ball. A lot of actions going on right here. had a back door right here. At this point, Deuce and Mikal should have switched. This is where the communication is going to be key. This is going to be an interesting year because for all the praises, Mike Brown has gotten, getting this Knicks offense to hum a certain way, just making things look more in sync, using more bench players. I'm surprised the media doesn't hold his feet to the same fire when it comes to the defensive end. Once again, the recovery on the switches. OKC, not afraid of the size situation. They're going to have AJ Mitchell right here play the low man. Watch his switch with Chet right here. And also pay attention to Isaiah Hartenstein. Notice how he comes off of DeAndre Ayton quickly. And he recovers to Austin Reeves. But AJ Mitchell right here is going to get the poke. But at the end of the day, it's all about the recovery. These guys are in sync. Again, this is how championship defenses look like. This is not a glaze fest right here. Right here on this switch with Austin Reeves, Hartenstein picks up. There's going to be a lot going on right here. SGA hedges. Luka applies that ball pressure. Just look at the recovery. Lakers get the ball in that high post. Now there's going to be open shooters out there in the wing. And just look at the recovery. Now SGA makes his recovery. Look at Cason Wallace makes his recovery to Luka. I thought last year in the playoffs against the Celtics, the Knicks did a much better job of this right here. As you're going to see OG, he helps out, and JB kind of recovers to the three-point shooter. So it was amazing in that series when the Knicks defense kept on switching, the Celtics couldn't get any advantage. But Mike Brown this season with that community offense, hopefully guys don't have to exert that much energy, especially JB and Karl-Anthony Towns on the offensive end, where they can dedicate some of those extra tips minutes towards defense. And that's where this season we've seen the Knicks kind of run into a rut against teams that kind of have larger point guards. Josh Giddey with the Chicago Bulls. We're going to see them going up against Cade Cunningham, who's red hot this season. And, just the league overall right now, there's a lot of guys who are kind of playing that point forward position. And it really begins to compromise things a bit. And that's why positioning is going to be very keen for this team. And just kind of looking at that generational shift in the league. Once again, this is a young Wizards team, but they got a 6'9" guard in Bilal. And they got another wing player in George, 6'8", and he's going to set a solid screen on Shamet right here. And normally this should be a switch, 6'8", 6'9". That's pretty much their wing scores. Speaking of 6'7" guards, Josh Giddey was cooking the Knicks earlier, but right here, pay attention to Karl-Anthony Towns. Once again, the communication and the positioning. He's almost a low man right here. He should be directing traffic. Once again, look at OG. He's almost a commander-in-chief, but he's not in a proper position because he doesn't see multiple screens coming out his way. For Josh Giddey is 6'7" to go downhill. And Karl-Anthony Towns, once again, is out of position as usual. But he comes up with a deflection to force the Bulls to reset. Here's Karl-Anthony Towns once again. He anticipates Suggs to take this screen right here. So he hedges. But Suggs doesn't even take it. So he's out of position, but gets a nice little reset. He's going to be out of position once again. That right there is going to be Mike Brown's conundrum this season. The league is switching up. There's a lot more 6'7", 6'8" guys on teams, and that small ball era is beginning to end. While at the same time, the Knicks do have a small guard in Jalen Brunson, who's not really that defensively sound because of his size. And at the same time, you have Karl-Anthony Towns out there sometimes being a little bit of aloof on defense. So how throughout this season Mike Brown is going to have these guys positioned in a certain way on defense, on their recoveries, how they deal with closeouts, to begin to make this look like it could be on a championship level. The Knicks don't have to be perfect, but I would say 60% of the time, hovering around 50% of the time on defense, as long as that offense is clicking, it could work. And these are interesting times. I mean, to win the championship nowadays, you got to go through OKC. Of course, you got to probably go through Jokic. You got the Houston Rockets. Everyone is probably above 6'7" in their starting lineup. They're playing almost two bigs. You got Wemby on the come up. In the Eastern Conference, you still got to go through bigs like Giannis. You got Cade Cunningham on the come up. He's looking like he could be a beast, especially at some point if the Pistons give him an actual skilled big man to operate with in that pick and roll. Even though the one he has is doing fine right now, but imagine if he had a much more skilled big man. So at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of great tests throughout this season. I should really say there's going to be a lot more stress tests throughout this season. That's going to kind of see where this team is at, where their temperature is going to be at come April, May, and hopefully June. Now, so far this season on the offensive side, we've seen a lot of versatility, especially when it comes to the bench unit. Now, right here, even with Brunson out, you're seeing a lot of it shine. Josh Hart has options on a double screen right here. He's going to go right in the middle of it. And then Deuce is going to screen from Mikal, and they're going to see what options open up. Right into a dribble handoff. The only part is right here, Towns. Towns gets on that dumb shit sometimes. It was a nice play, but it's an offensive foul. Speaking of Karl-Anthony Towns being on that dumb shit, ironically, Udonis Haslem and former Miami Heat Mike Miller spoke about the initial T-Wolves trade, and Udonis Haslem had a very interesting perspective about the T-Wolves not necessarily trusting that team to actually get over the hump even after making the Western Conference Finals. And from his point of view, it really had to do with Karl-Anthony Towns. Once again, you guys are here for the real convo. None of that glazing bullshit. So we're going to give you the real. So go ahead and check this out. And every once in a while, I'll check in.
But I do think if you're looking at it, I would say that Minnesota got the better of that move.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Which, by the
opinion.
way, if you're right,
Ain't no if.
If you're right, which you probably are, because I'm gonna give you credit.
I am right.
Okay, you're right.
I watch a lot of basketball.
But with that being said, that's an unbelievable job by Tim Connelly then, because the reason he did it was financial. A lot of it probably, I would assume.
A great job.
Yeah,
because
he
most
couldn't trade
of the teams
Rudy.
that go to the Western Conference Finals don't make moves to get better.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just like the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, they usually
By the way,
bring
the
the whole team
championship
back.
Florida Panthers
But he did.
went to the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, lost, and made moves to get better, and came back and won the next year. Most of the time when you get there, all you say is let's run it back.
I was just
Especially
saying
to get that close.
like he was in a, to me it was a unique spot, because if you say he won the trade, and he easily could have, I mean, it's always gonna be fun to see.
Who knows what that draft pick they got?
I
They got a
don't.
draft pick
But
in
what,
there,
I guess what I'm saying is, like, he had to do it financially, because Cat had always, like, on the books they're gonna get killed financially, so he had to make those kind of moves too now.
Now, also with Karl-Anthony Towns, he also did have a favorable contract. He's a stretch 5. He's probably one of the best in the league, so he does have value. Teams will always trade for a guy like that. And also the cap, it keeps going up every single season. So the amount of money he's making eventually becomes less and less and less versus the same kind of brand new talent on his level coming into the league. So it says a lot about the T-Wolves. And Shaquille O'Neal, after Game 5, when the Knicks had won versus the Pacers, he very subtly mentioned to Karl-Anthony Towns, hey, you do a lot of dumb shit. And Towns kind of gave off the vibe like that only happens sometimes. And then Shaq kind of said on the side, all the time. So even Shaq kind of peeped it, because he's judging Karl-Anthony Towns on how is he right now versus the championship level. And he doesn't quite see it. He kind of let it be known last year on TNT during that broadcast.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting how he did that.
Listen, Killer, that sound good, but if the Cat was guaranteed to take them to the championship, you pay that tab, you get your ring.
100%.
So
I don't,
clearly, the
I'm
financial
saying-
moves was based off.
I'm saying
we ain't winning with this.
I'm saying you're playing chess now.
We ain't winning
You're
with
playing
this.
chess now.
That's what he said. We ain't winning with this.
Yeah, you said it
Now you got. I don't know about the rest of the team, but you got at least 3 on that squad that gonna let their nuts hang.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards ain't no motherfucking dog. I mean, ain't no punk. He a dog.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo is a dog, and Randall is a dog. That matters in the
Rudy,
playoffs.
coach, I like
That matters in the finals.
I think I actually hear, and I'm listening to what he says, and a lot of it is true.
Okay, yeah.
I think Cat going there plays better off of Brunson. Brunson's a ball dominant guy. Julius Randle's a ball dominant guy. Cat's more of a catch-and-shoot 3, unfortunately. They're trying to put him in that post a little bit.
Which makes beautiful sense, but eventually Leon Rose, he is going to have to reevaluate that depending on how this season turns out. But Leon Rose is definitely going to have to reevaluate that whole relationship because, as I pointed before, the NBA right now is going through a transition. That small ball era, make no mistake about it, it is ending.
Well, I think the Knicks got better. I'm with him. I don't think it pushed them, but I think, Brunson and Julius Randle, when they played their best basketball, Julius Randle was actually hurt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Julius Randle's a great talent.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson's obviously a great talent. Both ball-dominant guys. I think Brunson and Cat can play off each other a lot better than Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can.
Man,
but
he talking.
It's the truth.
He talking that X's and O's. When you get in a 7-game series in the playoffs, X and O.
Hold up. Big, can I start off by saying I actually listened to what he said? I think he's right.
Damn, Steve Kerr. If you do this and move that around and this all that.
So
okay.
hold on. Okay,
Man.
let me hit you one back. You don't think that Cat and Brunson are better paired up than Julius Randle and Brunson?
I do.
Okay,
I think
well
they're
then
better
just,
paired up.
Yeah,
But
we can
that's
both
just-
be right.
Yeah,
we
okay,
can
but
both
at
be
the
right.
end of the day, all the better pair. I don't give a fuck about the better pair. That shit gonna win. That shit get it done.
I agree with you though. I don't think it either moves it over. I just
And
think
once
that
again,
this is what we do all
Taking
the time.
away,
trust me, I
taking
know.
away from the trade, missing Hartenstein is gonna hurt them.
Bro, right when you said
was
it,
a great- he was a great
they
piece.
removed all
He was
the
a good
Elmer's
piece.
glue from the scenarios. Hartenstein,
Yes.
DiVincenzo,
Yes.
they just the glues.
Those are the
I'm
guys,
with you.
bro. Let me tell you something.
And
Those are the
believe me,
guys that might not get the praise.
Hey, if anyone values those type of guys,
Exactly.
it's me.
And a lot of the Knicks fans noticed that last season when Karl-Anthony Towns had first showed up, the team didn't have that extra oomph in them. There was no pep to the step. The swagger was a bit down compared to the season before. And we had 10 times more injuries.
Exactly. Those are the guys that might not get the praise, but those are the guys that you can't win without.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. Those guys, you need those guys in your locker room. And I know a lot of the times you might get frustrated with Julius Randle on offense and shit like that, but I bet that got heart.
No, he a dog. I'm just
heart.
telling you, again, I'm in the same. I actually listened to it. I think you're right on a lot of shit. I'm just saying, to me, when they were playing their best basketball, it was with space with Jalen Brunson. It doesn't mean that they're not. I hate that when they say, "Oh, he sucks." No, they're just not a good. To me, they're both ball dominant people.
Yes.
Julius Randle is going to dribble it
Yes,
downhill and
I
play.
agree.
You know what I mean? That's how he plays.
I agree.
So it is what it is. Just a little something for you fellas to think on, because Udonis Haslem did bring up a good point. With that favorable contract Karl-Anthony Towns had, why not run it back one more time? Unless you didn't think it could get you over the hump. But continuing on with the second unit offense, Clarkson, McBride, Cat, Bridges, Josh Hart. There's something to be said about that. It's showing that this season Brunson can get quite a few rest minutes, especially when he's going crazy with his isolation plays. I'm not going to lie, this season, I love the Knicks plays off the inbounds. Check out Yabusele. He's going to compromise the Grizzlies defense right here. Off this roll, Deuce is going to pop out. Defender compromise right here. See? Which way should I go? My man Deuce has been on the loose. Even the Karl Towns, Mikal Bridges pick and roll with this bench unit. This is my favorite lineups with the Knicks so far this season. Just so many cutters. You got the shooters. And Mikal Bridges this season has been making quick decisions, attacking, shooting. And this is why we need Karl Towns this season to be aggressive on the offensive end. Just looking at the Knicks throughout the past history, this is not really my era, but those of you who know, you can comment below. But there was definitely a season where Patrick Ewing, he came back with an attitude. He was getting in front of guys' faces. He was holding people like John Starks accountable. I believe it was Ewing coming off that 92 Olympics. He was a different person. He was more in your face. You could see it. I don't know if it was the Pat Riley effect once again, but Ewing definitely had more fire in his ass. And that's exactly what we should be looking for out of Karl-Anthony Towns this season. There has been other players throughout NBA history that have been known as finesse guys that just all of a sudden you see them attacking the lane more. They're getting more physical. Even guys like Dirk Nowitzki went through the same thing. Karl-Anthony Towns has landed in NYC. He got his 8-ball jacket on, And it's now time to reflect that attitude down low in the post. Going back to some of these rotations, I'm loving when it gets mixed in with Clarkson, McBride, Mikal, and Karl-Anthony Towns. And McBride this season, you're going to see he's starting to get some respect out here, man. Let's not get it fucked up, because they don't want him shooting it right here. The defender was so focused on Deuce because Deuce has been hitting these, and it opens things up for Mikal. I'm not going to lie, this season, that's been one of my favorite lineups. Anytime you see Clarkson, Deuce, Mikal, Josh Hart out there, or you can even mix it up with Shamet. You got Cat at center. Things tend to get more scrappy. Guys are moving off ball. That's when you see a lot more cutting. Just overall, it feels good this season. A lot of us get to see this team kind of have a more modern pace and flow. At times last season, with Tibbs running the show, just having Jalen Brunson on the ball all the time, the Knicks would look like one of these 90s John Stockton, Karl Malone type of offenses. Like, what the fuck? You could swear the game is about to end 69-70. But it is what it is. We're going to take this slow. It's championship season. There's certain thresholds this team is going to have to hit, and at some point begin to separate themselves from the rest of the, I would say, somewhat middle tier contending teams. Like, you have to see the difference between the Knicks and others. And right now, offensively, because of that stretch we had with the Nets and the Grizzlies, you're kind of starting to see it on the offensive end, but that defensive end is just as important. Make no mistake about it. But we'll see how it plays out. This is going to be one hell of a season. Until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.